Hello there! I've gotten a couple questions lately asking for advice on keeping a sketchbook, so I thought I would make a video talking a little bit about that. I've compiled some footage together of me working on my sketchbook over the past week or so that will be playing while we talk about my top 5 tips for keeping a sketchbook. So I've been drawing in sketchbooks consistently since I started my first one 7 or 8 years ago, and I believe this is about my 14th one. The first thing that I think has been really important for me in keeping a sketchbook is absolutely letting go and realizing there isn't anything specific that it has to be. Like, this is your safe space. You're supposed to make bad art in here. If there's anywhere that you can make bad art, let out your feelings, just do whatever comes to your mind with pens and pencils, this is the place. You don't have to show anyone your sketchbook at all. Telling myself no one had to see it was really helpful for me. You don't even have to look at your old pages. I know a lot of artists lately have been starting like a second sketchbook that's their ugly sketchbook that they truly don't show anyone, and that works really great too. If you're just starting out early in your art journey, I would honestly probably do that with my main sketchbook and just absolutely not worry about what it looks like. If you're really inspired by artists you see online and stuff having really pretty sketchbooks, you can totally play around with that inspiration and make really nice looking stuff sometimes, but don't pressure yourself for all of it to be that. So tip number 1, totally let go of any idea that it has to look good or have nice spreads, and give yourself permission to make whatever you feel like inside of it. Sometimes growing up, if I got too caught up in it, I even wrote something like that in a big red marker. Just like, give yourself permission to do whatever you want. I also really like buying super cheap sketchbooks and using cheap materials if I'm feeling too precious with things, and that really helps too. Tip number 2 is to use it as both a space to learn and a space to have fun. I think both applications are really important to focus on. I really like doing this in my sketchbooks. There's often a big mix of studies and thumbnails and stuff from my mind, playing around with ideas, and you'll see that in this footage too. You want to make sure you're taking time to study, practice fundamentals, do exercises, improve, all of that kind of stuff. And that can look really boring on the pages and take up as much space as it needs to, but I find that it's really important to also give yourself time for fun things that you enjoy looking at and you just enjoy doing. Maybe you want to draw stars or smiley faces all over, and that's completely valid and you should do that. Maybe you want to draw a unicorn, but you've never done it, and you draw it really badly and just put on some colors you like. That might make you decide that you want to draw some horses from references later, and then you have a really good time, find some more animals you want to draw, and it takes your art in a direction that you really like. But if you hadn't let yourself draw that thing that you didn't have any idea how and that you knew would look bad, you wouldn't have ever gone in that direction. So follow all of your urges, because you don't know where they could lead, and that's how you get your special combination of things that makes your art yours. Tip number 3, make time for your sketchbook as much as you can. I know people say this a lot, but I think it's really important. Even just 10 minutes or however long you have, get your sketchbook out and do something in it. You want it to feel like a place that you're really excited to visit, and like your sketchbook is your friend, so make sure you keep up with it. Even if you don't know what to draw or have any ideas, you don't have to know what to draw. Draw whatever you're used to and then add something else onto it. Draw something you remember seeing earlier or whatever's in front of you, or just color in some shapes and start adding on to it. Find a picture you like, just whatever you feel like. Just don't leave it completely blank. Sometimes I can sit there and look at my sketchbook and think about drawing for so much longer than I would have spent actually drawing something if I just did the first thing that I thought of. So you want to do that and just get comfortable with drawing freely. My fourth tip is to use colored tools. Grab some colored pencils, markers, crayons, highlighters, whatever you have, maybe even the cheaper the better, and draw with those too. Or like scribble some color in behind whatever's there. Go back through past pages and doodle some stuff onto there too. Just do some mark making, especially if you're feeling kind of rigid with your sketchbook, just not feeling very familiar with it. I think this is a really fun thing. I love doing this, and once there's some color on the page, I always feel a lot more inspired, and like it really brings a fun aspect to play with. It kind of gets the wheels turning and gets you thinking about more abstract things and what feels the most inspiring and fun. Sometimes I get so excited just to put some red into the situation, and I just like scribble it down, and I'm like, yes, this is correct. And it just helps you have fun. Talk for a second about what I've been drawing. The sketchbook I'm using is the ELO sketchbook, which is an 8x8 square, and I've been finding the shape really fun. This is the first one I've used like this, and I'm really enjoying it so far. A lot of the pencil I've been using is the Mars Technico 3mm lead holder, which is similar to a mechanical pencil, but it has lead that's the same thickness as wooden pencils, and I really love that thing. I like that it feels a lot like wooden pencils without having to deal with like the annoying wood and and sharpening it. Like, you can sharpen the tip, but I find that I don't have to do it super often, and I don't know if it sounds weird, but I kind of enjoy when it gets dull. Like, I kind of like the feeling of drawing with the blunt pencil, and it kind of reminds me of being a kid, because I started using mechanical pencils like exclusively after like 10, so I really like that pencil, and I definitely recommend trying it out if you think you might be interested. The other pencils I've been using, if it's been a drawing that's in color, I've mostly done those with the Prismacolor Color Ace pencils, and I really like those too. They're erasable colored pencils if you haven't heard of them yet, and the texture is like a little more creamy than graphite pencils, and I really like the feeling of just drawing in my sketchbook with them. A lot of the drawings have been from references, not all of them, but some of them, and I will link my Pinterest below if you are interested in checking out the sort of references I've compiled for myself over time. I highly recommend filling up some Pinterest boards with the references you like if you haven't already. It's incredibly helpful. These leaves here were inspired by when I got this sketchbook in the mail. For some reason there was like this weird like crease going through the page on this one. I don't know why or how that happened, but I thought a lot about what I would do with the page because I didn't really want to just draw on it. So I thought about like gluing something over it to cover it up, but I thought it might be fun to just go in with marker and kind of go over those lines, and then I turned them into leaves, and now I can barely tell that they're there, and I don't mind it at all. I think it's a lot of fun, and I kind of just played with the textures of like using colored pencil a little bit on some of the different leaves, and on the other page I also went over them again to like go over the bleed through, and I think that's a fun thing as well to try out if you use stuff that bleeds through and it kind of bothers you when the other page is like that. Instead of like always covering it up or just ignoring it, maybe kind of playing it playing with it sometimes if you haven't done that before. Sometimes if it's like a silhouette of a person, I'll even like draw the person in the same silhouette but differently on the other side. Just a fun thing to think about if you have that problem. So back to the sketchbook tips. My fifth and final one is, if you're watching this because you have trouble completing sketchbooks or sticking to them, do not start a new sketchbook, and don't tear pages out either. It's all a part of your journey, and I think crashing through the wall of just staring your art in the face and realizing that even if you aren't happy with it and you don't like it, creating it is the only way to make progress. One day you are going to like your art, but only if you keep making it. Every bad drawing is what makes a good drawing possible. Make as many bad drawings as you can. Get them out of your system. Everyone has made them. Just keep going. Try to learn, but be as kind of a teacher to yourself as you can. Even if it takes you a year to finish your sketchbook, just keep drawing in it. So those are my top 5 sketchbook tips. Please let me know if any of this helped at all and what you've been struggling with in your own sketchbook. I'm going to flip through the pages really quick that I worked on during this video. Even though I'm going to be adding on to most of them, I thought I should probably still show you everything all together. Thank you so much for listening and spending some time with me. I would appreciate it a whole lot if you liked and subscribed. Maybe check out some of my other platforms if you enjoyed this, and I hope you have a lovely day. Bye bye.